Welcome back to the Consistency Engine podcast. My name's Dane Patton, and I am joined by my good buddy
Chase Collier.
Yes, we're here in the Bats Rat studio once again, recording another episode of this brand new podcast.
Yes, it's super exciting. I'm glad for everyone who watched our first episode. We're just getting started. There's going to be a ton of value and information coming your way here soon as we continue to record and just put value out there. Again, this is for people who want to learn, want to grow, not just in one specific thing in life, but for all different avenues.
Yeah, and I think one of the most difficult parts for me is just trying to figure out what we talk about, how we start this. I mean, we both have a vision of doing this for a long time and being consistent with it. And where do we start? What's the things, like the foundational things that we start talking about, and then we kind of grow from there. And especially when we're packaging a podcast into a 30 to 45 minutes, it's hard to say, okay, where do we start? The first episode we talked a lot about health and fitness. Even before we even got to that, I think this topic that we're going to talk about today, core values, we probably could have started there, and I think that there's a reason that we wanted to start with core values.
Yeah, core values. There's a reason it's called core, because we make decisions based on our core values in personal life and in business, and that should be the foundation of a lot of decisions and actions you take. If it doesn't align with your core values, why are you taking that action? It should be about figuring out what your core values are if you don't have them already written down. And if you don't, we want to be able to be a resource to help you figure out what those look like for you. My core values are not the same as Dane's. There could be some overlap there, but each person has different things in life that might be core values for them. And that's fine, but you need to understand and figure out what those are before you start making too big of decisions. I think the core value piece needs to be kind of the cornerstone centerpiece before you start a business or kind of start that scaling journey, whether it is fitness, life, or business.
Yeah, in your life and in your business, would you say, did you have your core values kind of solidified before you really jumped into business?
Before business, a little bit. It's definitely changed as time has went on. Back to the beginning when I was thinking I can be an entrepreneur and want to have this shiny object syndrome and see what is best to do. At that point, no, I did not have core values figured out. I'm like, I want to go out there, make money, make a difference, and just run. But after doing that a couple times without figuring out what the core values are, I'm like, I need to pinpoint these before anything's going to scale and be successful.
Yeah, and I think that's fairly common in most entrepreneurs or new business owners' lives. And I think the idea of core values kind of gets stale because people talk about it so much, but there's a complete difference between talking about core values and actually living by core values. And that's something that on this podcast, I definitely want to come across and get people to understand is there every business out there, well, not every business, but most successful businesses out there have core values on a wall. I mean, when you walk into my office, I've got our core values up on the wall. But are the people that set those core values and they're in charge of enforcing them, are they living those core values? That's the biggest thing for me, because as I've been in this, personal development, professional development space for the last 5 years, and I've been a business owner for 11 years now, I've seen people come and go in different spaces, and they say they have core values, but they're not actually living those core values out. And that's something important that I think that we definitely need to dig in here is it's great to have them, but really everybody has a set of values that they're living by. maybe they don't necessarily understand or realize what they are, but they're making decisions based on something.
Yes. And when it comes to kind of like you were saying, not everyone follows them. A quote that I hear all the time is, if someone shows you their true colors, believe them. And how I kind of see that related to core values is, I can tell everybody what my core values are, so can you, so can most other business owners. But if the actions you're taking and the ways that you are treating people do not mirror those core values, then you're not somebody that I want to be associated with, because you're not living up to the standard that you set for yourself. So therefore, how am I going to be able to trust you if we're trying to do business together? I want to be able to see those core values and you mirror them, whether things are fantastic in life and business or if they're not going good and your back's against the wall. Because in that back against the wall scenario, you are going to have to make a decision. Do you want to make the decision off of core values or not? And when people get their back against the wall and come out ahead, or they didn't make the right decision, if it's based off of the core values, I respect people for doing that, because they are true to themselves and true to what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and in business, a lot of times people make a lot of decisions based on financial information. Money is a big driver when it comes to business. And I think that's one thing that gets people off of their core values a little bit sometimes. Maybe they have a opportunity to make a large sum of money, but it might go against some of their values. And then that really tells you who that person is. Like, do they put money ahead of their values, or are their core values more important than that financial gain? Because maybe it's going to go against their integrity or go against the service or excellence or something like that. And I see that a lot, and it really opens up my eyes in that space, because I've been at different places where guys up on stage are talking about different things, and then I see the shady deals that they do, and it's like, man, like you say one thing, but you act a totally different way, and that's one thing that I try to pride myself in, and I think that's one reason that we've built this good relationship that we have, is because we are the same person in any room that we're at. It doesn't matter when we're at home with our families, when we're out in the business world, when we're in the gym, all of that stuff. We're the same person, and it's because we have a set of values that we both live by, and we are examples of them every single day.
Yes. And to go off of that, like when I get to know business people, and especially if I want to be a business partner with somebody, I want to know that you treat your clients, your staff, your spouse, your kids, and anybody else in your life the same. I don't want it to be a different mask for a different type of person, because then you're doing it for self-gain in most cases and not based off of those values. Before we get too much more in depth on this conversation, I do think we should intro what our core values are, just in case there's points in the conversation that we can kind of compare situations to our core values.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so my core values that I kind of drew out, I abbreviated it to be grit with 2 T's. So G is for growth. Period. I want people to grow, whether it's me, the people around me, people I'm able to influence and impact. I want growth. R is for relationships, because relationships at the core is why we are here. Like, we wouldn't be making this podcast. We would have never got connected if it wasn't for relationships. And with the growth piece, I want the people that I'm making relationships with able to grow as well. It's not just me, it's the people in my life. I is for integrity. You just need to be a good person and do stuff the right way for the right reason. And when we're talking about like greed and ego and stuff, you can't have that when you're working off of integrity, because that is such a strong foundational core for anybody. The first T for me is transparency. I tell people all the time, I am an open book. I want to help. I want to build a relationship with you, and I am who I am. Like, that does not change whether I am one-on-one with you in front of a group, you're brand new to me, or somebody that we've had a long existing relationship with. I am transparent because I don't want to waste each other's times. I hate hidden agendas, and I want to be transparent with you from day one. And I also expect that back. And then the last one for me is time. Time is the one resource we do not get more of. We can make more money, we can meet more people, we can get more knowledge, but you could take all the money in the world from me, and as long as I have time, I know how to make money, I know how to start businesses and build relationships. Time is the most important thing, because that's what we are truly going after, is time freedom, not financial freedom.
Yeah, I love those, and like I said, that once you started it, like, I didn't need you to explain those to me. After the first couple times that we met, because I could see that this is how this guy lives, and these are what's important to him, and this is how he does business, this is how he carries himself. So I appreciate that. For mine, like I said, I started business, and core values wasn't something that I was basing my decisions on, but there was always these values in the back of my head or just like deep inside of my soul, that I always just thought. And responsibility is one of my main ones. Responsibility. I think a lot of that comes back from just my my upbringing of my parents having a strong work ethic. I took care of my brother a lot when I was younger. And then having a son early on, like, I always had responsibility. I always was in charge of taking care of somebody, and that would so responsibility is a big one for me. Service, being of service to other people, and not always about myself. And how do I provide service and bring value to others? So service is a big one for me. Excellence. Excellence was one that came a little bit later, because I didn't live my life with excellence for many years of it. But when I understood that if I wanted more, I had to be more, and I had to carry myself and do things with excellence at all times. And integrity is one that we share. So integrity is one of my core values, because do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. Like, that's a big thing for me, and my words, my bond kind of thing that people think about. And I spent many early years not being the most honest person that I could have been, and starting to see that how that. The reaction that I got from different people, and I was like, you know what, I just have to be as honest as I can, and if something doesn't go my way because I'm honest, so be it. Like, I just know in the end it's going to go all right for me. And then so what was that for? The last one, well, consistency. Like, we're here on the Consistency Engine podcast, and my tagline is stay consistent. So consistency, how I show up, the things that I do, the small habits that I've made in my life have come down to just me being able to be consistent.
Those are all great ones, and I reference Dane often as either Batman for Bats to Rats or Mr. Consistency, because from the day he showed up and we met for the first time, it was consistency through and through. Like, when you're on whatever journey you are on, consistency is key. And one neat thing about core values is, even if we don't have the same core values, there is so much overlap in the different words and in the qualities under those words. And even though Dane and I only have integrity together, there's so much overlap from the way that we do business and our core values, even though the words aren't the same. And I've seen people kind of look at other people's core values before, and they're like, well, shouldn't you put that in there? Well, it's their personal opinion or their business opinion of what core values are highest to them. And the other thing I would note is just because somebody doesn't say that this is a core value does not mean it's something they don't make a decision based off of. Because you should not have 20, 30, 40 core values. Keep the list short and simple.
Yeah, I think between 3 and 10 is kind of a good place to be at for core values. I know I went through a lot of different core values exercises when I was in the middle of my business, trying to figure out how we ran the business and all that kind of stuff. And for core values, I think that whatever personal ones that you have, especially if you're the owner or the founder, the leader of the business, those need to be mirrored in your business ones too. And it's hard to say, well, I have the core values of this in my business, but I also have these other ones that like they need to be intertwined, interweaved, because especially when you're a founder and you're starting your own business, like you are your business, and how you show up matters. And the decisions that you make and the choices that you make need to mirror those if you're going to build something of relevance and being authentic, authentic with it.
Yeah. And confidence is something that comes with core values. Personally, for me in my journey, like when I started in business without having those core values set, like I was still confident in my abilities to do work. Like I'm a hard worker. I learn stuff and I move and shake. But at the same time, when you figure out what your core values are, because they're so imperative to your decisions, I feel like you just have so much more confidence in yourself, even if you're not the most knowledgeable person in the room. But when you know what you stand for and what you're about, you can speak with confidence and authority.
Yeah, I totally agree that the confidence that you get knowing that, okay, these are the things that I live by, and this is how I know I'm going to react or I'm going to make a decision based on these things. Whether it's in your personal life or your business life, like there's so much power in that.
Has there been a time when you've met somebody who really doesn't align with your core values, and what have you done about that?
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's been plenty of times that's happened, and that's a good way for me to just create some distance, and it's like, okay, well, do I want to associate myself with a person that acts like this or shows up, and whether that's in business, whether it's in my personal life, whatever. Like I don't want to be associated with people that aren't honest.
Yeah.
that lie a lot. Like that's not who I want to be, or people that think that they need to show off. Like that stuff always irks me when it comes to the business world. And it's like, you don't have to be this different person to be around me, or just like, if that's what you feel it needs to be, let's have a conversation and let's break down these barriers and walls that you think that you need to put up, or like the mask that you were talking about. Like, let's take these masks off and let's get real, let's get authentic, and I want somebody, when they sit down and talk, they get to feel my full heart, and instead of me trying to connect on like how smart we are, like you just figure out who I am, like the transparency that you're talking about. And I think that's really how connections are made. And if somebody doesn't want to connect that way, then that's fine. Like I learned from one of my coaches one time, we can allow people to have their own experience. And allowing them to have their own experience means that sometimes that doesn't mean that experience involves my life and their life together.
Yes.
And so that's been a powerful thing that I always think about. Like I don't ever want to change somebody, but if they see me doing something and they're attracted to it, it's for a reason. And maybe they want to make some decision. They see how I've changed, how I've transformed my life, and they're attracted to that, and they want to do the same thing. That's fantastic. They have work to do. I still have work to do, man.
Yeah.
I'm still learning. I'm still growing. That I don't have everything figured out. And I think that's one thing that makes us powerful, is we know that, and we're still like trying to find all the knowledge and wisdom from people around us, and then how do we implement it? How do we take action on it?
Yeah. And my thought behind that question, I know I really didn't prep you at all on that, is when you know your core values and have that confidence, you can decide on things to be selfish. And I'm not saying be a selfish person, but it's okay for you to act off of those core values. If you meet somebody who does not align at all with you, or they do have a mask and it's somebody you don't want to be around, you have the will and the power to say, we don't need to be connected. Like, this isn't a great fit for a relationship, and that's okay. Because I am a people pleaser. I have been my entire life. But at the same time, if the core values don't mesh, or there's a fine line in the sand that I just don't want to associate with you because of X, Y, or Z, that is okay for you to distance yourself from them. And you should have the confidence in yourself to be okay doing that. Because just from growing up and as we've both evolved in business, that has happened more and more. I want to build relationships with everybody, but if you can't have that mutual respect and understanding for where both of us are at, we don't need to, because it's not worth either of our time.
Yeah, well, you're slowing me down, or I'm slowing you down. You know, that stuff happens. You know, I remember back when I first started my business, and I thought that everybody was my customer. And I'm sure that happens with most new business owners. They have a service, they have a product, and they think everyone's my customer. I can sell to everyone. And understanding your core values and understanding that you don't have a solution for everybody. You need to have a target client that you're looking for, and those are the people that you're trying to work with. And not everybody that calls your phone is the right person that you need to be doing business with. And it's the same thing too with your personal life. Not everybody that comes into your life is the person. You know, what's the saying? People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Yep.
And understanding that. And saying, okay, well, these are my values. They're only here because of, I can provide something for them. It's not like a mutual give and receive situation. So, and when we talk about the values and then our foundations, our pillars of how we live our lives, like that's really given me the confidence to understand that I don't need to be a different version of me for everybody to enjoy my company and time. And back when I used to drink, I always thought that Fun Dane was the Dane that was always intoxicated or having drinks and doing crazy stuff and stuff like that. And I thought that I only brought that value to people because of that, and I wasn't living that core value of being excellent in the things that I do, and we're all a work in progress, and I'm still trying to get better, but I think back to that old version of me, and it's like, man, he did not live that way. But guess what? I've got news for you. You can make a change today. You don't have to wait for some crazy thing to happen in your life. You don't need to have, a fallout or go to rock bottom or anything like that, or have a health scare or go to jail or anything like that. Like, you can literally make a change today, right now, while you're listening to this podcast, or when you wake up in the morning. You can want more for yourself. You can act differently, and you can understand that I make decisions off of these values that are important to me.
Yeah. So a real quick question off of that. When you were that fun drunk Dane, did you have core values set at that point?
No, I did not have anything written down or something that I thought about or made decisions off of. I kind of, was just letting life go by. But there was always things that were important to me. Like, I always wanted to take care of my family. And I always had, like I said, that responsibility that goes way back to how I was raised and as a child. And I always had responsibility. Understanding responsibility and then taking responsibility are two separate things.
Yep.
And I understand that I had responsibility, but I wasn't always taking the responsibility. And I was allowing, pushing the easy button, as you'd say, and allowing a lot of people to come into my life and I don't, not necessarily take things from me, but like be somebody that was more of a taker than a giver, really.
Okay. Just trying to make some connections here, but we've talked about core values kind of being your foundation of what you're building upon. I also kind of view it as a fortress that you build around yourself. Because once you know your core values, you have these walls set up that you should be making decisions off of. When you don't, like in your example, and it's not that people are out to harm you, but people are taking advantage of you. Whether it's subconscious or not, you may not know. It may just be in good fun. But at the same time, if you don't have your fortress built up of how you act and why you make decisions, then it's very easy for people to walk in and just not care about those, because you don't even know what your values are at that point. So I think it's smart, just as almost as much offensive as it is to make decisions off of it to grow. It's almost just as much defensive when it comes to bringing people in your life so that you don't get taken advantage of.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, and I've seen that firsthand of how people interact with me, and with me being so consistent in the things that I talk about and the things that I share and how I show up and all that kind of stuff. It definitely does limit the people that actually want to come up to me or invite me to do something or ask me about something, because they already know, like, because I'm out there, I'm living this every single day, so they already know, like, well, Dane's not going to want to do that, or Dane's not going to say yes to this. So yeah, it definitely does build. It sets those boundaries. It sets that standard of how you live your life, and the people that want to come into it, they're living that same standard. They're living that same life, and they're attracted to it, and that's I think a beautiful thing.
Yeah, 100%. So for people listening in, for those who don't have core values, I think it would be an awesome takeaway if you could sit down and figure out what those look like for you. Whether you're a business owner or not, core values are imperative to growth. And if you can sit down and just think of 2, 3, 5, 10 core values that are important to you and kind of link back to your why, I think that would be very powerful for you.
Yeah. At the end of all of these podcasts, I want some sort of takeaway or some sort of challenge or what you can go take some action on in your life to make your life a little bit better. And like I said earlier, like, you don't have to wait for something crazy to happen in your life for you to make a change. And understanding, and I think a lot of people, they wake up and they live the same life for 60 years and they never actually live. They're just doing the same thing because it's just on repeat, and they're living on autopilot. And if you have a dream, or if you have this vision inside your head and you know that you haven't been living it, well, now is the time to understand who you are. What are those things that are the most important in your life that you value more than anything? Whether it's your family, whether it's integrity, whether, whatever that is, understand what it is, and then start making decisions that feed it. And that's a big thing that I've done to my life is, I say no to a lot of things because it doesn't feed to the vision, and it doesn't correlate with the values that I have. I say yes to a lot of things because they do. And when you live this way, guess what? More opportunities start to show themselves. And that is one of the things that I guess I didn't understand at the beginning of this. I wasn't. I always talk about, like, the capacity that I have to give has grown because I've become a better version of myself. And that capacity, like the opportunities start growing with that capacity, and things just start showing themselves, and I've got a lot of exciting things that I haven't announced yet that are like coming down the pike. And it seems like every time I post something, it's like I'm bragging about these new things that keep happening, or I'm on a guest on this or the book or whatever, and it's like, well, that only happens because I live my life this way, and I show up that way.
Yeah. And a good summary for all of that is intention. When you have your core values written out, you can start making decisions with intention. And if you're new to this and don't have core values yet and figure out what they are, you can keep them to yourself. You don't have to be public with them. But a good thing is to start making it a reality by becoming vocal with it. And whether it's your spouse, your kids, your parents, your friends, like if they are truly there for you and want to see you be the best version of you, you can talk about your values with them, because it helps build those boundaries. It helps build a support system, and it starts helping you live with intentionality in everything you do. And it's very much that snowball effect when Dane's talking about all the awesome stuff he's doing. When he started business, none of this was probably even in the back of his head.
Never.
And same with me. Someone asked me, what's 10 years in the future look like? And I'm like, I have no clue, because 10 years ago, it wouldn't be right where I am now. Like that was nowhere on the radar. But because we got serious with core values, goals, intentionality, the things you can do in a very short amount of time will blow your mind if you can be consistent with it.
That's right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of the Consistency Engine podcast. We want to thank you for listening. And, if you don't have somebody in your life that you can talk about these core values, reach out to one of us, follow us on social media, shoot me a DM, something like that. Mine are always open. I love to hear from followers, from fans, from people out there doing the work themselves. And that stuff always gets me pumped when somebody sends me a message and said, something that I said resonated with them, and they changed their life. They started being more present with their kids. Like, man, that's how we change our communities. That's how we become stronger. So,
and whether you if you have been doing it for a while, reach out. But also, if you're scared to take that leap, reach out. Like those people will make the biggest impact, the ones who haven't started yet because they're scared. Like I was one of those people. And one of my missions is to help as many people who are struggling to start as possible, because those are the difference makers. The people already doing it, they're going to be successful and they're already on the path. But for both Dane and I, please reach out. We're both here for you. We want to see you grow and be the best version of yourself.
All right. Thank you.